Hi everyone, my name is James, and I'd like to thank you for watching one of my project videos. This past Christmas, I decided I would make something special for each of my 5 daughters. This is one of those projects. It is a keepsake box that features through dovetail joinery and is made of Wenge-ghay and Birdseye maple. I hope you enjoy it and pick up some woodworking techniques or ideas along the way. I picked up the lumber from a local hardwoods dealer, and this is what it looked like before I started the project. The first step in any project is always to joint one edge of the lumber straight. After that, we rip the stock on the table saw to get it perfectly parallel. Next, our pieces are cross-cut to length. And finally, our stock is planed down to the desired thickness. After that, we'll cut the dovetail joints for the sides of the box. The first cuts are always the tail cuts. Those are followed by the pin cuts. These are the ones you would adjust to make the fit tighter or looser. After getting a good dry fit, I tape the insides to catch the extra glue, and then I mark them so that I know how to fit the box back together. For a lot of exotic species of wood, it's a good idea to clean the glue joints with acetone before actually gluing them together. This gets rid of some of the oils inside of the wood and ensures a much better bond. As you can probably see, I am a big fan of applying glue to both sides of every surface that will be bonded together. I guess if I'm going to build something that I expect to last a lifetime or longer, I don't want to skimp on the glue. Now it's time to turn our attention to the top. The top of the box is made very similar to a raised panel door, with rail and stile type construction. Here I am using a router table with a rail and stile router bit set. I am cutting the profile on the edge of the Wenge-ghay boards that will hold the Birdseye maple panel in the middle. Using a miter sled, we need to cut those Wenge-ghay boards down to the exact length for the top of the box. Now we can turn our attention to the Birdseye maple panel in the top of the box. To begin with, we've got all of the same basic milling procedures that we had before. Then we go back to the router table. This time we're going to put in a raised panel cutter. If you get a cabinet door making or router bit set, it often comes with a raised panel cutter as well as both the rail and stile bits all in one package. As you can imagine, there's lots of hand sanding on a project like this. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut for it. The best thing to do is get a variety of sanding blocks, start around 80 grit, and work through till you reach about 220. For gluing up the lid, we are going to let the Birdseye maple panel float in the middle. Only the Wenge-ghay will be glued together. And we can't forget, even though I didn't show it on video here, to clean the Wenge-ghay with acetone before we do the glue up. This is a great big sanding block I made. It's just a flat piece of particle board with 4 sheets of sandpaper stuck on it. I have 80 grit on one side and 120 grit on the other. It's a great way to get box tops and lids perfectly flat so that they mate nicely together. If it's too hard, get someone to help you. Now it's time to add a rabbet for the bottom panel. At this point, we're gluing the top to the rest of the box. Once again, don't skimp on glue, and make sure we clean both sides with acetone before we bond them together. Here I am putting a chamfer all the way around the top of the Keepsake box. I've set the bevel on the table saw to about 15 degrees and moved the fence over to just take off about a ½ an inch from the top of the box. I like to cut the tops of these boxes off with a bandsaw because it can be done in one pass, although it can just as easily be done on a table saw. After you've taken the time to carefully sand both sides, you can see the fit is usually perfect. Now to construct the bottom panel. I think it would be nice to add a Wenge-ghay accent strip in the middle. I centered the body of the box on the bottom and traced the radius of the curves cut by the router bit to get a perfect fit. Here we used a disc sander to try to sand as carefully as possible right up to the exact point of the line. It didn't fit perfectly at first, but a couple of touch-ups back at the sander and it was good to go. Here I am gluing in the bottom of the box. The bottom is 5/8 of an inch thick. And yes, in case you were wondering, that is exactly the right amount of glue. I'm not really worried about expansion and contraction. There's no way it's going to be able to move the sides, which have been through dovetailed together and are 3/4 of an inch thick. With a 1/2-inch spiral cutter in the router table and stops set at either side, I can cut the mortises for the hinges. Using a self-centering bit here to make sure that the screw holes are perfectly centered. And a smaller diameter bit to get down to the proper depth of the screw length. Coating the threads with something like paste wax before installing them can prevent snapping the screw heads off, which would be a critical mistake at this point. Sanding, sanding, and more sanding, all the way down to 600 grit, inside and out, very carefully, finishing everything by hand, and always sanding with the grain. For the finish, I used 4 coats of spray-on lacquer, made by Deft. I sanded lightly between each coat by hand, starting with 600 grit, and ultimately finishing with 2000 grit. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel. You can click on the link below to subscribe. I will put out videos every week, and I'm also happy to answer any woodworking questions that you might have. Just leave them in the comments below.